looks good. I'm actually doing this from Windows because I wanted to install all the updates and make sure it's working. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Hey, you talking to me? Hey. Hey, what's the matter with you? You gotta show respect. The heads of the 5 Ubuntu families. And we'll talk about
No,
that.
no respect. Good talk about the 5 distros that he's
The
on
5
freaking Windows.
distros. All right. I think. Are we ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. 3, 2. Hang on. I'm going to turn the TV down a little more before we hear a gunshot.
Bang.
Who likes Arch? Bang. Oh, sorry. No.
Boom.
All right. The TV's down. What do you call a cow that farts? A dairy air.
No.
God.
Welcome back to another Linux A-Team where the jokes are low but the guests are high. I guess you have to be high to use Linux, Well, welcome back to another Linux A-Team here on the Total OS Today Technology channel. We haven't done one of these in a while. I have my returning champions. I have Ben Distro Hopper from the South. I have Dan the Man Debian. I have Joe. We have somebody coming in late, interrupting. So let's get Steve in here. Steve is joining us for this Linux A-Team as we are recording.
Steve.
Hi, Steve.
Hey, Steve.
There we go. Tonight's topic is our top 5 Linux-based systems for 2020. Not necessarily for newbies, and at least my top 5 are not necessarily in any particular order. Okay, these are just the top 5 that I thought of, that my friends have thought of here. So we have Ben, Dan, Steve, Anselm, and Joe. And Steve just joined us. Hi, Steve.
Good evening, gentlemen.
You sound
How's
great.
everybody
Awesome. Okay, Steve,
We're
you
doing
missed
well.
you missed the intro joke. So here it is. Are you ready? What do you call a cow that farts? A dairy air. And then I joke, welcome back to the Linux 18 where the jokes are low, but the guests are high. And you have to be high to use Linux, right? Okay.
You have to be high to learn this crap.
Okay. Why don't I get started, because we have lots to talk about, and then we'll just move on with this Linux 18 for tonight. And by the way, thanks to all the supporters who keep this channel and the one light on. It's greatly appreciated. So let's move on. So my top 5 in no particular order. Okay, and I was thinking about this today, actually. So I think no list can be complete without mentioning Arch. Arch has been around, I think, almost 20 years, I think, right? Something like that. If you're looking for a system to make it, to customize it, to have total control, to make it your own, you have to put Arch in that top 5 or top any list. I'm not saying for newbies, but I think you have to put it in there, okay?
Yeah, you should.
I think after that, we have to mention Debian. Debian's been around since 1993, 94. I looked it up.
Something like that.
That's a long time. How many distributions out there based on Debian / Ubuntu? It seems like half of them. A ton.
About all of them are not based on Arch.
Right. So I'd have to put Debian and Arch in my top 5. Moving on, of course, we have to put Ubuntu on there. Where would all the newbies be today, like myself back then? My first date in Linux was Ubuntu back in 06. And here I am using Ubuntu and Ubuntu Base. So I think Ubuntu has to be on anybody's list. Probably the most popular, arguably the most popular Linux-based system in the world, or the most well-known. The next up on my list, I have to put my Linux gold standard, Ubuntu Mate. It's simple, it just works, and I haven't had any issues with it, so that's also on my list. The last thing on my list, I think it's a tie, guys. It's probably between Linux Mint and Zorin. Those two companies, those two teams have also been around at least 10 years, maybe longer, and they've done a pretty good job of acting as a quote-unquote gateway from Windows users to Linux. You know, I started my channel in 2010, and before that I was using Linux Mint and Zorin to get more comfortable using Linux. So in my number 5 spot, again in no particular order, I believe for me it's a tie between Linux Mint and Zorin.
Well, the 5th one, I have to say, if I was to pick anything, it would be Arch, because I wouldn't put it as a number one because, like you said, it's not for beginners. It's more for people who want to get their feet wet with something a little bit more advanced. Now, number four, I would have to maybe put Manjaro, because it's kind of good for newbies, but I wouldn't put it on a first-time user's computer at all. I mean, yes, they could use it, but you have to kind of walk them through a couple of things, like Pac-Man and etc. like that. Now, number three, maybe Ubuntu would be a good one to throw in there. And then, like you said, the toss-up between Zorn and Mint. And then number one, I know I'm probably going to get a hell of a lot of flack for this, but I'm going to say Ubuntu. I didn't throw Debian in there because I don't consider it, a new starting point. So,
all right,
and
Dan.
passing the torch on to someone else.
Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
I would have to say I've always liked Mint. It's kind of been my default distro to go to when I'm having a bad month. I would say that would probably be my number one. My number two, I would say, would be Ubuntu Mate. That's the only Ubuntu flavor that really works good for me. I would say after that, I've seen a lot of people, I haven't tried it yet, but where I read my Linux info from, a lot of people have been actually using Pop OS. Its popularity has seriously took a really good run. I've also seen a lot of people use Elementary OS. I have not tried that one either lately.
Okay.
And MX Linux is another of that family of five that's probably in there somewhere that people are using. Manjaro, I see people using it, but it's not in huge groups.
Okay. I think I know what Anselm's top five is. Chromebook.
Yep.
So what say you? Yeah.
Well, for number five, I would go with Manjaro. I think most people could fuddle their way through it, I think. Then probably Elementary, Linux Mint, Zorin, and then Ubuntu.
A lot of Ubuntu themes.
There's just so much help out there because you do a search on Ubuntu, some of it may work in, some of the help may work in Elementary too. It could, that's what's nice about it.
No, I totally agree. Look, they've done a good job. I mean, the GNOME desktop is not my number one choice for a GNOME desktop environment, but it's stable, it works, and they've done a good job. So hats off to them. Steve, what say you for your top five?
Top five.
Top five.
I don't know if I have five, to be honest. My old tried and true up through Peppermint 10. Mm-hmm. That's on there for me. But right now I have to say Ubuntu 2004, and as Dan brought up, Pop OS. I am currently running Pop OS on my laptop. I still have Peppermint 10 on my desktop, but Pop OS has really popped with me. No pun intended.
No.
Because seems to be a year where I really haven't tried a lot of other. I was steady on Peppermint throughout the year. We did try out a couple of distros. One that I found that I liked in a way is Voyager, based on Ubuntu.
Yes.
Nicely themed with
French.
a lot of little
I think it's from
packages
France.
to it.
I think so, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was a very interesting. And then would be remiss if I didn't bring up Ferramonti, what that young man has done. I know earlier in the year, I think I kind of played with it a bit. He's still, working on it, and he's working on a 2004 version. So I think that would kind of round out my five for the year.
Once again, there seems to be an Ubuntu theme. I got to give Team Ubuntu credit. I mean, it's a distribution that seems to get a lot of credit and a lot of hate. You know what they say? It's lonely at the top. So maybe it's lonely for Ubuntu. Didn't we talk last week, 2 weeks ago, or last month about the company's I think Lenovo ThinkPads, desktops, 30 different versions or 30 machines with Ubuntu?
There you go. There's some more Ubuntu.
That's quite an investment for them to really, do something like that. They must have faith in the system and in the team behind it. Joe, what are you using now?
I am on Manjaro 20.1.
And okay, and how's it worked out?
I actually like it. It's on my list.
Okay.
The thing, it's not. A newbie, somebody coming to this who's got some technical knowledge that is capable of wanting some help, wanting to look stuff up, knows how to work their way around. I think a new person could start out with this. It's Arch-based, of course. I never thought I'd be on an Arch system because and that's actually how I wound up on this, because I was on Mint for 21 months, I think it was. And
long time.
Yeah, I had a problem with it. They had some updates come through, and it broke it pretty bad. Normally I break it, but because I never leave it alone. And I was in a after show live stream or whatever it was, and Michael Tennell was the one that suggested Manjaro. I said, well, I want to learn Pac-Man or the Arch thing. He goes, it's not that bad. It's pseudo, and so I thought, well, if that's what it really is, then I'll give it a look. And I broke this a couple of times, and I put it on there. But I will say, I always thought, because the KDE, and I'm on the KDE version, was going to be, it's too much. All this, I thought, because I was always like Kubuntu, and that's one of the reasons I started shying away from it after a while. Is it's like, but I've gotten so used to this now, and truthfully, this has even more than the regular Kubuntu. And I've got Kubuntu on another drive in here, just because I want to see what they're coming along with, and I still find it a touch buggy with some things, surprisingly. But anyway, my list, no particular order, again, was Manjaro, because that's what I'm on now, and it could potentially be Newbie, but I wouldn't say Newbie out of the gate. My next one is, and I've got more than 5, but it's a slash thing. It's Pop! OS / Ubuntu, because I think either one of those are going to be fantastic. And the reason why I look at both of these, even with the Manjaro, was because of support. Obviously, Canonical's huge. Manjaro now is a company, and they're there's some good support there. There's a lot of information for help, or no matter what you need. I haven't had any trouble finding it. Pop! OS, I like Pop! OS. My grandson, who is 6 years old, loves using Pop! OS on this machine. This is my test laptop, so I've got a dual booting with my test drive and that one. And he actually loves it. So, and that's GNOME, and it's a touch screen, so it works fantastic. Ubuntu as well. They work well with touch screens. So that tablet type mentality. So I do think it's work. And when, like Steve's saying, I've always used a super key on all my distros. And when you have to go into some of them, like Ubuntu Studio, which is another it's a great distro. It's loaded to the gills. But the first thing you have to do is remap your keys, because it doesn't have it. It's like either Alt F1 or some or Super F1.
Yeah.
So that kind of bugs me. But anyway, getting back to the list. I haven't used it in a while. I was on it quite a while, but Mate. I love Mate. Mate was one much like Mint. I just thought Mint had a little more polished look to it when I went to it. But I borked Mate, of course, because I did a kernel screw around. But see, that's how you learn.
If it ain't broken, let's fix it. Right? Yeah.
Well, in DT's phrase, it goes around. Everybody knows that it's got to hurt a little bit. And you know what? That's the best way to learn sometimes. Mm-hmm. But I really did like Mate. I kind of wish, in looking at, not that you use Distro Watch as a guide, because it's just a guide. It's not really anything to go by exclusively. I'm surprised it's never budged up on there more than it did. But I think some of it is because I do think Martin does a fantastic job, and I think what it offers is fantastic. And you can retheme it and whatever. But I think out of the box, it's got a dated look to it, the color and whatever. And I think that's kind of
change it.
Yeah, so you change it, and that's exactly right. And I like these because they're all customizable. Mint is, of course, on the list. I still have Mint 20 on the other machine in the other room. For lighter non-newbie distro, and I'm saying this, a newbie could start out with this one too, but I think it's going to be more confusing, believe it or not, than even Manjaro was for me, is MX. MX is a fantastic, lightweight, light-running Debian-based distro, but it's fantastic, and it is rock solid when it runs, it's supposed to.
I'm not surprised. You're right. Yeah. I'm not surprised that we're picking either Debian / Ubuntu based or Arch based. The two longest running established systems for Linux, right? Debian since mid-90s, 93. Arch early 2000s. I think I could be wrong. No surprise.
The only other ones that I have on here, and I'm going to explain after I get with these two, Linux Lite or Ubuntu, one of those two. And what I tried to do here was go from something that's the heaviest you can get to something that's the lightest you can get. The only other one that's not on this list, and I would have put it on there a long time ago and kept it on here, was Peppermint. I still think Peppermint's a fantastic distro, but the concern is it's still a little up in the air on where it's going, but I think it's right now it's still heading in the right direction. Okay. But I think it's another great. So I know I've got more than 5, but I think if you're going to talk about my top 5 would be Manjaro, Pop! OS, Ubuntu, Mint, and then maybe Mate. But if you need something that lighter than those, then replace either Ubuntu or Mint with lighter Ubuntu, one of those two.
Vince, are you with us?
Hello.
Do you have a top 5 Linux for 2020?
Yeah, I think I left a comment on your video, but I can't remember what I put.
Okay.
Well, one's got to be Arco for sure. I think if you're talking about releases, I would say the Ubuntu 20.04 has to be another one.
Okay.
I really liked and enjoyed the Fedora release too. Fedora 33.
Interesting. Okay.
That's an interesting one. Definitely hard to go past Ubuntu Mate, but maybe you could lump that together with Ubuntu. I don't know.
Okay.
What else was there? I think Pop! OS would be another one too. A lot of people seem to be enjoying that.
Again, the common theme of Ubuntu. We have Ubuntu, Arch, and Fedora. Fedora's RPM based, I think, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So there's one for RPM. I'm not surprised. There's a theme here, folks. Arch and/or Debian / Ubuntu. I mean, they've been around a long time, and people got used to them. Massive repositories, both for Arch, Ubuntu, and Debian. Like I was saying, I installed Q4 OS on my older ThinkPad that sits in my garage because it has stereo speakers, 2 gigs of RAM. Not a problem. I won't be doing any video editing on that sucker, but it works. Debian stable. Q4 OS based on Debian stable. They still offer downloads of 32-bit, which is nice. I don't have to throw away or recycle an old ThinkPad. I think overall, gentlemen, this has been a good year for Linux for 2020. I know it's been a horrible year in general because of the pandemic, but I think for Linux, I think it's been okay. What do you guys think? Anselm, I'll give you the last word. He loves his Chromebook. Just say it. Chromebooks.
Chromebook. I'll go with Chromebook.
Okay. I love me some Chromebook. Aha. Well, Chromebooks are fine. There's a bunch going on sale starting now for Black Friday, starting now on Amazon and the website, so check them out. Lots to choose from. Chromebooks sale jumped this year from what I read because a lot of homeschooling, home working, people wanted something expensive, very little maintenance. I'm assuming that's why they're selling. And they sold out, I guess, and some of the machines were sold out. So again, that's another push for Linux in general, But yeah, overall, I would say I'm still waiting for that national Linux standard. I have a dream.
I think if you look at the kind of distros that were picked just now, a lot of the bigger and popular ones are also the ones who have big community support. So community support for both developers, big developer communities, and also user communities, so that if you run into any problems, you know that there are multiple places you can jump onto to ask questions.
Yeah.
For example, with Ubuntu, there's numerous forums everywhere, and with Arch, There's the Manjaro forums, which are friendly. There's various discords, and so I wouldn't underestimate the level of community support for a lot of the most popular distros.
That's a big plus. I would totally agree. Vince, you came in late, so we're going to end this Linux 18 special edition, our top 5 pick for 2020, with a joke that you missed because you came in late. So here's a joke for you, Vince. What do you call a cow that farts? A dairy
idea.
A dairy air. Linux 18, where the jokes are low, but the guests are high.
What do you call a cow that don't fart? Dead beef.
Like the dead beef player for Linux. Gentlemen, this was fun. Thank you. And we'll catch all you out there next time live sometime. We'll see if anybody wants to sponsor the next live show. Let me know, and we'll do it. Maybe we'll do like another Toss Today marathon 6-hour show or something for the holidays. We'll see. I still got to buy some more wine. Although I have a feeling if I drink all the wine, it'll slow me down. We are into hour number 5 of the show. Oh, no, but that's what's got to happen.
We'll go from Sleepy Vince to Sleepy Carm.
Sleepy Carmine, really.
I'm pretty sure when I joined it, this went from being the A team to the B+ team.
You never know what topic or who's going to come on, right? You know.
Taking bets on which side the drool is going to come down.
I'll do like anyway, thank you all.
Thank you.
Later.